usability, ease of use, at least at par with the functions and the features. Because if the functions and features are so complicated and the usability goes down, then you have this reluctance and the resistance to use it. So that's critical. Then very clearly articulate what's the business outcome, what value it is creating, how it is making the life easy, but also delivering even better outcomes for the business. I think that is something that we need to really focus. Often we undersell the outcome part, focus on the use and other the functions and the features of the solution, but what it is leading to, what it is actually delivering. I think that is what we need to really focus.
Thank you so much for joining another edition of The Never Ending Climb for a Stronger Supply Chain and Procurement. Today, we've got the pleasure of being joined by Dilip Nair. And Dilip has over 23 years experience leading and growing in his progressive career in marine logistics with Maersk, and has recently discovered what's inside the black box of procurement. Dilip, thank you so much for joining us today.
Sean, great to be here. Never been in a podcast before, so I don't know what I'm doing here, but I trust you.
This will be fun. It's easy. So we were talking about adoption, and this is something that's near and dear to me. And you were sharing how in one of those critical components, you've been able to significantly improve the adoption of one of those digital solutions. Can you talk us through how you think about adoption in helping to prepare for it, and then what happened?
So typically, when we embark on deciding what is an appropriate solution, often we go to these power users who are the most experts and ask their views on what we should buy or build or develop. Often what happens is they are the smartest users. They have some deep insight on what can be done and what cannot be done, etc., etc. So often you will get this very complex, well thought out, most optimal solutions that can be put out there, and that goes into typical RFP, and then you have a really really complex but very effective solution. But often, if you see the user out of the user base, the power users are a small component of overall user base. So then you are introducing this very complex solution to a user base which is not so savvy with the solution. And then, okay, what is this? Why it is so complicated? To procure something as simple as a PPE, why I need to do this amount of work? It can be honestly overwhelming. So one of my learning has been to listen to the non-power users as much as you listen to the power users, and then finding the sweet spot between usability and the features and the functions and the complex needs that we have. It has to hit that spot where we cannot overwhelm the wide user base for only this small group of power users. So that's one of my biggest learning in driving adoption. Then, of course, you need to really articulate what these solutions are bringing in, what outcomes they are delivering. It's not simple efficiency or whatever, but what is actual business value is being delivered. So the same solution that we saw the adoption increasing significantly, we could also see the supplier compression increasing. So the number of suppliers participating increased without too much of effort using this technology. And that, of course, leads to more competition and better outcomes. So those are some of those that we need to really emphasize and appeal to the heart. And it's emotions. Also, at the same time, then sometimes you need to do the performance management and follow up and say, okay, I mean, why? What problems you have in using this solution, and help problem solve those perceived problems or the real problems that they may have. So it's multifaceted approach that you need to have there.
What I love about where you went there is that it's remembering it's not just about the power users, because those same power users are the people who already speak procurement. They already know procurement. They know the process. They know the policy. At least they should. And it's the
Yeah.
everybody else that often needs to get in there and use it. And when we neglect to
Yeah.
ask them, we over index for the power user. And then you end up with procurement solutions that are designed by and for procurement experts. And then you naturally start to introduce language that only procurement uses. And this starts to further index it away from the people that actually end up really needing to use it. Because there's a very small percentage of the planet that actually works inside procurement. And I think this is the language that is so important to help unlock adoption. And I love that you're going there. I love that you're also thinking about the lessons that you've learned in how you were describing how the technology is, I'm not exactly the words you use, but technology is useless unless it's going to be adopted. So, what else would you add to that to help identify and reinforce the right selection, rollout, and adoption of technology?
The question is, why do we need the technology? I mean, what problems we are solving, and what are those specific use cases? Because if you're not clear with those, then of course you're going to get something which is maybe the word useless, or maybe over-engineered for something which is in the life. I mean, in a day-to-day or wherever, sometimes we have this tendency to complicate things which need not be complicated. So that's critical. So that I would put a very, very high
Yeah.
emphasis on keeping it simple, address the use cases very specifically, and across as much as possible, rather than very, very narrow focus areas.
And I think this is, again, where the broad set of users are the ones that we really have got to unlock. We got to go talk to them. I've often found that a set of questions of what's hard about this, tell me about your best experience, tell me about your worst experience, and a few other questions to really get them to talk about it, because it's probably not the kind of thing that they think about very often. It's one of those, often a part of their job that comes up just once in a while. And if they have to read a manual or they have to read a policy, then they're never going to remember it, because in many cases they don't do it often enough
Yeah.
to remember the last time 12 months ago that they actually had to go and do this. So it just needs to be super fast and easy, especially in large organizations.
User intuitiveness, how easy it is to use rather than relying on complex manuals. I think that is, I put very, very high value in the weightage when we
Yeah.
select something. It's that has to be critical, because if you make complex solutions, which you said, as you said, once in a while, if that needs to be used, and somebody needs to open a drawer and open a manual and read, I don't know, 100 pages to do that, forget it. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
We all know that how busy we can be in our day-to-day work. So that's where very high weightage on user friendliness, the user interface aspect of any solution, and that's critical.
That's amazing. And there's an example that you've gone through where you had gone, was it from 5 to 35% adoption?
Yeah.
I'm imagining there's a few other lessons that you would want to share with others that are thinking about how to level up their supply chain and procurement.
So again, summing up the learnings that we had, or the reflections that I had. So put usability, ease of use, at least at par with the functions and the features. Because if the functions and features are
Yeah.
so complicated, and the usability goes down, then you have this reluctance and the resistance to use it. So that's critical. Um, then very clearly articulate what's the business outcome, what value it is creating, how it is making the life easy, but also delivering even better outcomes for the business. I think
Yeah.
that is something that we need to really focus. Often we undersell the outcome part, focus on the use
Yep.
and other the functions and the features of the solution, but what it is leading to, what it is actually delivering. I think that is what we need to really focus. And then I think it's important to really say and follow up. and performance manage that these are the use cases, why it is not being used.
I love it. We were also talking a little bit about this sense of FOMO with AI. Can you share a little bit more? Because I think this is more common than people would like to admit. It's like everybody else is doing it, so we need to too. And that's not always the case, right? Just because everybody uses a little bit of Chat GPT to check their recipe doesn't mean that every business out there is running on AI already.
You're right. It's the buzzword now. It's everywhere. And when I speak to a lot of my peers outside the company, or when I attend a conference or a forum, this is a topic out there, and everybody is working on how to revolutionize things with AI, and I'm sure that will happen. Because you could then argue the mechanization, of transportation from using steam engines to internal combustion and so on, the evolution. I think this is going to be a paradigm shift in how we do things, but I'm not sure if we are there now. But we can see some shoots coming up. So for me, I mean, my key reflection is that look, continue to explore for opportunities and areas how to revolutionize what we do, but at the same time, look for those very specific, tangible, here and now use cases that may not be very glamorous or revolutionary, but still adds a lot of value to the organization. And I'm seeing some really good examples and good use case and deployment already in our part of the business.
What I love about that, Dilip, is that you emphasized probably one of the most important things is that it doesn't have to be sexy, but it's got to make a difference. And there's only so many leaders out there that are willing to go and invest their time, their energy, and the company's capital in some of what some people would call plumbing, right? It's not sexy, it's not exciting, but it is really valuable when it's done and done well. And I think those are often the parts where there was a company that was introducing robots into their retail. If we remember Pepper
Yeah,
the Robot, they were introducing Pepper the Robot, and they were very excited about this because it seemed so sexy and so innovative. Except it did nothing to help the company. It just sounded cool.
yeah.
And when companies make decisions on things that sound cool, it basically wastes a lot of money. And it takes courage to stand up and thank you for doing this, to stand up and say, no, this is fundamental. It's not sexy, but we got to do this well before we can get to some of the other things. And I just want to thank you and all the leaders out there like you that are doing that. So thank you very much.
Thank you, John. I think I need to be super clear here. I think our thinking and drive and the aspiration has to be something revolutionary. I think we need to pursue that revolutionary, really impactful change and use and so on and so on. I think that we need to do that. We owe
Yes.
to ourselves, to the organization, and to the society as such.
Yeah.
But at the same time, don't overlook this here and now use cases in the pursuit of that perfection. And I keep repeating this to a lot of my team, and also when I get an opportunity to speak to others. Even if you improve 1% a day, that leads to a 40% improvement, compounded over a year. So,
Absolutely.
so don't overlook that 1% opportunity in the pursuit of that step change sometimes.
Yeah. There's so many opportunities to go and make a difference.
Yeah.
And sometimes we overlook the little things that do create those compounded 1%, because sometimes the bigger shift is too big of a bite to make all at once. And when we make a series of small bites to go and layer on improvements, it makes a really, really big difference.
Yeah.
Dilip, I really appreciate your time and your wisdom that you're sharing with the community today. And I want to thank you for joining and thank for all of you another edition of the Never Ending Climb for a Stronger Supply Chain and Procurement. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Sean.